If you're watching this, you're probably in the middle between two big decisions, where one is, do you stay on the path of where you are right now and see it through? And you may be thinking, I don't know if I really want to. Maybe I'm thinking there's a better way, a different way, a way that I'm able to get what I want, but I have to pivot. But I don't know if I need to stay in this current situation I'm in and just not take that risk. But I also know that if I stay this path, maybe nothing's going to change and I'm not going to end up where I want to be later on in the future. If you're in that situation, I've been there many times in my life, and that's the beauty. I can tell you exactly what you need to know because you may not see this video ever again in your feed. And maybe you will at a different inflection point. So let me give you a couple examples to help us out here. I went through the system of college, degree, start working corporate America, engineering degree, eventually six-figure salary, all those things. And I realized in the end of the day, whether you call it debt for a mortgage, maybe debt for car payments, maybe debt due to good habits or bad habits. In other words, good debt if you're leveraging it well. Maybe you have a stock market portfolio, you're borrowing against it. Maybe you're using that money for another investment. Maybe you have reckless spending on credit cards, and it's also information that the system doesn't give you on purpose to keep you trapped in the hamster wheel of just keep on going, keep working, keep on making these payments. One day you'll get out, one day, and inflation keeps going up, taxes increase, and you know that if you don't make a big decision or have a catalyst of inflow of income, which can only come in maybe not through the steady way, but taking that next step and considering how do I get what I want without waiting 30, 40 years or even 20 for that matter, right? So with that kind of precursor, what you need to understand is exactly what I said in the beginning, that if you're thinking that if I don't take this step, I'm going to be stuck where I am, and if you can live with it, I'm not going to live with it. You're the one who's going to live with it. And let that sink in. 2 weeks from now, this is the situation. 2 months from now, same situation. 2 years from now, same situation. 20 years from now, can you even think that far out? I know when I was younger, I couldn't think more than maybe even 5, 7 years out, to be honest. And they say the most dangerous people in the world in terms of the people who are, more business savvy and entrepreneurial, those people don't think in weeks and months or even a year, they think in decades. So the point here is this. If you're seeing this video, know that this line has helped me a lot during my life. If it's not a hell yeah or a hell yes, it's basically a no. And the grass is probably greener on the other side. It's not that it isn't, but it's just a different type of trotting or treading, or basically when you walk on that grass, it's just a different type of difficult or, just tougher times in certain scenarios and a lot greener for other scenarios of which is why you're even considering that next move. So if you're in this season of life where you're like, hey, I'm in this season. Am I ready to go to the next season? Or do I want to see this through for another year, 2, 3 years? And, let me just wait. Let me see this through. The only thing I would say is just understand. Are you willing to go another 1, 2, 3, 5 years on this path, but then take away basically time from the next opportunity? But don't, fool yourself where you start this next opportunity. If you drop this thing now and then you get to that same point and a couple of years in, you're now like, okay, hey, I made a lot of progress, but should I keep it going to like now the next 5 years? And then you switch again, you switch again, you switch again. This is something called as like the shiny object syndrome, where you're basically switching from, hey, let me try, let's say, drop shipping to let me go try to trade crypto. Let me go try to do something else. You can do it. You can do anything, but know that there's a trade-off. And this isn't about, financially only, although I'm giving a lot of financial examples. It's also just like anything, whether relationships, whether it's something regarding your health. If you're thinking, should I exercise or not? As someone who, I don't have a six pack to tell you, that I'm number one person you should listen to that about, but I will say that I should exercise and I know I should. And it's about taking that next step. And that may be a micro habit, but for some people it's a major habit which they need in their life for the next step to support them, to have natural energy, to not drink, artificial caffeine or pound 10 cups of coffee or have a bunch of tea with, which has caffeine, let's say not the caffeine-free version. So I'm saying all this because in the end of the day, only you can know if you can live with a certain decision. And if I didn't make certain decisions when I did, so for example, my first job out of college, it was cool and all, and it was a management consulting type of job and a mix of IT, just the way technology is nowadays with management consulting, you have a lot of technical kind of just jargon implementation just based on your background. It's not just pure profit and, based on revenue, profit, cost, and just calculate things in this hypothetical based on market research. How much can we make? No, there's a lot more nuance. So I realized, I was like, well, I'm a management consultant, but I'm not traveling. I'm not doing what I thought this would be like. And I switched to a job just to travel for the job. And I'm recording this at a Westin hotel currently. I used to stay at the Westin for more than a year near in DC. And what I learned is I was working like a dog. I was working so hard that I couldn't even enjoy, let's say, the hotel or the gym or the pool at the hotel or, eating out and stuff if it's comped. It didn't feel like a happy meal. It was like, all right, well, they're paying for it, I'll eat, but like it's eating to do the job. And so to do the job, it's like you're like a slave to the system in itself. And then I was like, all right, well, what saved me was basically COVID, where, there was a time to reflect, time to step back. And I almost feel bad as COVID was for many. COVID was also a time for a lot of people to take a step back and reevaluate. And that was priceless because from there, if you're watching this is a second channel video where there's a main channel, and I wouldn't have even able to come to this scenario where there could be passive income online, where you can make money while you sleep type of deal. And it's not about the amount, it's about the principle, because that amount can be, that catalyst for me in my life. How I look at it is, hey, I can have a W-2 job, 9 to 5, corporate, whatever, even if it's more than 9 to 5, it's a busy one. I still have, let's say YouTube and then other people I've met along the way, other things I've learned on the platform for me to just, use my money in a certain way to then buy back my time. Because in the end, it comes back to their three principles: time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom. And I may repeat this a lot on the channel, but those are the three kind of pillars where on the path you're in right now, do you have your time, available to you 24/7? If you do, chances are you're probably also financially free, or somebody's taking care of you, or you have a good support system, what have us. And so you may have all the time in the world. You may be able to be anywhere in the world, but are you financially free? And maybe that's what you're trying to solve for. Some people, they have a crap ton of money. Some people have no time to spend it though. Some people have all the time in the world and they have little money. But because they have little money, maybe they don't have location freedom because they can't go around, to point A to point B to wherever and do what they kind of truly want to. Let's be real. If you came this far, the answer is very straightforward. It's not going to happen just out of the blue. It's not going to come at you just suddenly, right? We have to do the work to do the thing to figure out that next step. And Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, put it best: stress and anxiety, where do they come from? If we really ask ourselves, it's really taking inaction where stress just exists because we either haven't taken action to get to our next step, or we just don't know what that next step is. And to be very just frank, unless we do, we're going to be stuck in that state of anxiety of, where do I progress? How do I proceed? What's next? What's next? What if is gonna happen is basically nothing if we just question without doing. So with that, for real, good luck. And I've been there. And me saying it doesn't make it easier. But I can tell you that I've gotten to the other side multiple times, and you can too. So my challenge to you is simple. If you're seeing this video, hopefully you know exactly what your next step is. It's either staying where you are or pivoting. And if you don't, it's only the trade-off that you're going to live with. And that's pretty much the math behind what's worth it or not. So good luck. And maybe I'll never see you again unless you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for coming to the end. Peace.